guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Zeev. I'm a makeup obsessed college student in North Carolina, which is in the US on the East Coast. And don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell, like, comment, let me know what you want to see next. And for today's video, I'm going to be doing part 2 of my collection, which will be concealer and powder. And let's go ahead and get started. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with concealer, then we'll move on to powder. So I'm first going to start with some color correcting products. So I have a couple here. So I have the Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion Ultra Longwear Concealer. And I have this in the shade 1C. But I don't know if you could tell in the applicator, but this is very yellowy. Here, let me show you so I have this one in 0.5N, and you could tell the difference in the shade. Just, this is very light, but this is like yellow peachy shade, which is interesting because it's called 1C. But I really like this. I definitely use this for color correcting. I just use a little bit right under my regular concealer, and then I'll put this or just a random other concealer on top. But I really enjoy the formula of these, and yeah, I really like it. So another color correcting product we have is the Bobbi Brown corrector in the shade Extra Light Bisque. Now this is what like a regular corrector looks like. This has the kind of pot texture. So you just kind of dip your finger in there. You can see it's definitely peachy, but it's a good shade on me. And they have a ton of shades of this available, and I really like this, although it's very expensive. Next up, I have the Catrice Camouflage Cream in the shade Wake Up Effect. This is very similar to the Bobbi Brown. A little more dark and peachy, but yeah, I really enjoy it just the same, and it's like $5 or something like that. So if this matches your skin tone, then I would go for this one over the Bobbi Brown, but the Bobbi Brown has a ton of shades available. So let's stick with the pot concealers. So I have the NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer in the shade Light 2 Vanilla. And this is, like I just said, a pot concealer. This is definitely that texture that you tend to see in pot concealers. It's pretty dried down, but it's got amazing coverage, and you don't have to use a lot. I use a fair bit, but I use less than I would a liquid, but I use more than I would with the next product. So yeah, I really enjoy it. I love the finish. It doesn't make my under eyes cakey in any way. And if you want to use any concealer you have as a eyeshadow primer, this is a really good one. So next up, I have the Kevyn Aucoin Sensual Skin Enhancer, and I have the shade SX02. Now this is the one I was talking about when talking about the NARS one. The texture is completely different. It's like a whipped texture, and you do not need a lot of this at all. This will last me probably forever. There is 18 grams in this. There is 6.2 grams in the NARS one. So like the Kevyn Aucoin one will last me way longer than the NARS one, because you use more of this and there's less product. And this one, honestly, like you need the smallest amount for like complete coverage. It's literally crazy. I don't know how he did it, but I love this. But it's definitely for those, matte days. But it doesn't like make your under eyes really cakey or anything like that. So really enjoy this one. So I'm not going to talk about these too long. The only reason I have them is because I don't want to throw them away and waste product. He already has my money, but I don't buy from him anymore. And I'll probably get rid of these soon because I don't really reach for them, because I don't want to reach for them, because I don't like using them, but I have them, still trying to figure out what to do with them. So one random product I have here is the e.l.f. Mix to Match Adjuster. This is the white one. So this is like, you use it if you need to change a shade of a foundation. I just left it in here because I felt like it. But nothing interesting about that one. Next, we have the NYX Can't Stop, Won't Stop Contour Concealer. I have the shade Alabaster. I like this. Pretty much my same opinion as the foundation. Nothing too fascinating here. Probably about medium coverage. It's not drying or anything like that. But, not a favorite. So, yeah. All right, next we have another classic. This is the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. Hello. And I have the shade Light 2 Vanilla. So just like the NARS Soft Matte. Hello. Same shade as the NARS Soft Matte Concealer. This is very different though. The NARS Soft Matte Concealer, I would say, is pretty full coverage. This is about medium coverage, definitely more natural. You could wear this on like kind of everyday basis. If you like to just wear concealer, a little bit of medium coverage concealer. It looks amazing on the skin, and I really enjoy it. Definitely like hydrating. Next up, I have the Catrice Liquid Camouflage High Coverage Concealer. I have the shade, is there a shade on this? Oh, here we go. 005 Light Natural. Kind of the same opinion as the NYX Can't Stop, Won't Stop. About medium to full coverage. Doesn't crease or cake under my eyes or anything like that, but it's not a favorite. I reach for others over this one, but I have it. I like using it on drugstore makeup days, but like I said, not really a favorite. Next up, we have a pretty, what's the word? Talked about concealer. This is the L'Oreal Infallible Full Wear More Than Concealer. I have the shade 330 Ivory. Hello. Here we go. This is a Shape Tape dupe, which you can see right there, and I'll talk about it in a second. It's got that big old doe foot, and I like it. It's not as drying as the Shape Tape, but it's got, pretty good coverage, and I like it. So next I have Tarte Shape Tape. I have a little baby one and the regular size one. So the baby one is in Fair Neutral. Hello. And this one is in, I think it's just Fair. Yeah. This one's in Fair. Oh my gosh. Fair. There we go. So this is the Tarte Shape Tape Contour Concealer. Again, with the giant applicator. A lot of brands have duped this now. I have a couple more dupes of it in my video, but I like it. Not a favorite, honestly. My favorite is probably the next one coming up, but it's just kind of, a classic that I keep with me just for gigs, and by gigs I mean like giggles. And I like it, but it's a little bit too drying for me. But it definitely is that full coverage, so, I guess it depends on what you're really interested in, but it's okay. So next, I have the Jouer Essential High Coverage Concealer Pen. I have the shade, where's the shade? Lace. I don't like this. It has like the weird applicator where you have to push up, kind of like the Patrick Ta lip liners. But the reason I don't like this is because I feel like it drags my under eyes and it doesn't blend out really well. I haven't figured out really what I'm going to do with it, which is why it's still sitting here, but I do not like this concealer. So next up is my favorite probably. This is the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. I have the shade Swan. It's what I'm wearing today. Got pretty much the same applicator as the Tarte Shape Tape, but a little smaller. You get a ton of product in here, and it's not creasy on your under eyes. It's not cakey on the under eyes. I think it's beautiful. I think mature skin could wear it. I think dry skin can wear it. I think oily skin can wear it. I really think it's really versatile, and it looks good on everybody. And there's a ton of shades thanks to Jackie Aina, and I really like it. So next is a pretty new one to my collection. This is the Makeup Forever Matte Velvet Skin High Coverage Multi-Use Concealer. I have the shade 2.1. Hello. This is the lightest shade that they have, which I don't particularly like because the difference between this one, which is the lightest, and the one up is like crazy different. But you got that big doe foot. This is definitely high coverage. It's and matte. So, if you have really dry under eyes, you're not going to like this, but it's not too bad. Kind of like the Tarte Shape Tape, but this one's definitely more hydrating than that one. So it really just depends on what you're looking for, but yeah, it's okay. Next up, I have the Urban Decay Stay Naked Correcting Concealer. I have the shade 10NN. This is okay. I haven't used it that much, to be honest, just because I haven't. I have other ones that I was like more interested in trying. But it's nice, I guess. Nothing too spectacular. Like I said, I haven't tried it often enough to really give a full opinion on it, but I have it and I'll keep playing with it. All right, next up we have the CoverGirl True Blend Undercover Concealer. I have the shade, here we go, L100 Fair Porcelain. I think this is either the lightest shade or one of the lightest shades. Definitely has the big, oh my god, why are you not focusing? Tarte Shape Tape applicator. I like it. I've only used it maybe once or twice. I'm pretty new to this train. But I liked it so far. Maybe a little mattifying for me, but definitely got a good coverage. So I enjoy this one. Next up, we have the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer. I have the shade Fair Warm. This is definitely warm. I have the e.l.f. Camo Concealer, and can you see that shade difference? What the heck? Look at that. You see how much warmer and yellow this one is. So the shade's not a favorite, but I do like the formula. It is definitely more hydrating than the Camo Concealer, more hydrating than the Shape Tape. I would say it's probably right around with the Born This Way Multi-Use by Too Faced. About medium coverage. I like it. It's fairly new in my collection, but I enjoy it, and I'll definitely keep it around. So next I have, like I mentioned, the e.l.f. 16-Hour Camo Concealer. I have the shade Light Peach and Fair Warm. So the one I showed you, they're both Fair Warm, but look at that difference. That's crazy. This is a little light for me, which is why I bought the shade Light Peach. Which even Light Peach, you can see the difference between, I can see the difference between Light Peach and Fair Warm. In person, this is still more orange and peachy than the Light Peach shade. But this is good. It's a little drying for me. Definitely the closest Tarte Shape Tape dupe that I have. So it is, pretty drying, but it's a good coverage and I enjoy it. So next up, I have the Jouer Essential High Coverage Liquid Concealer, and I have the shade Creme. This is good. This is better than the pen that they have. The pen, I really think it comes down to the formula because it's in that pen shape. The pen formula, it's drying, or it's and tuggy. I just don't like it. But this one is really nice. It's pretty hydrating. and it's got really good coverage on it. I like the doe foot. I like the color. It's a little deep on me, but it's a good concealer. I really like it. Next up, I have the Revolution Conceal and Define Full Coverage Concealer. This matches the foundation that I mentioned in my last video. It's another one of those kind of Tarte Shape Tape dupes, but as you can tell by the applicator, but I really like it. Definitely matte and pretty full coverage, but it's a good drugstore option if you kind of want something like the Shape Tape. This and the e.l.f. Camo are some pretty good options, and I enjoy it. So next up, I have the Benefit Boing Cake Bliss Concealer. I have the shade number 1, and this is obviously the lightest shade. I love the packaging, how it's like a little pencil. I think that's adorable. And the wand is pretty small, but I actually really like it. It helps you get into like the little areas around your eyes. And overall, I really enjoy this concealer. I would say it's a little bit mattifying, but nothing like the Tarte Shape Tape, and it's got pretty good coverage, so I enjoy it, and I understand why it went so high in the concealer world. So last but not least, I have 2 ColourPop concealers. So we'll start with this one. This is the Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Creamy Concealer. I have the shade Fair 10N. This is really pretty, actually. It's pretty hydrating, in my opinion. Pretty good coverage. I don't really have anything negative to say about it. The only thing I will say is that there's a ton of shades, so you can really pick what you like. And yeah, I don't really have anything here or there to say about it. It's nice. I like how hydrating it is. It's probably pretty similar to the Too Faced Born This Way. And the last concealer I have is the ColourPop No Filter Concealer. I have the shade 404, Fair 404, Fair 04. I really like this, actually. It's not as hydrating as the Pretty Fresh, but it's not matte, in my opinion. It looks really good under the eyes, and I like it. Like I said with the Pretty Fresh, nothing too special, but nothing bad to say about it. Just kind of meh for me. So let's go ahead and move on to powders. So this is all of my loose and pressed powders. As you can tell, I have concealers on one side and powders on the other. I do like powder, if you can't tell. These are all stacked too, except for this one. But yeah, so let's start with one I'm probably going to get rid of. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Loose Setting Powder in the shade Translucent. I don't know if you could tell, but this is like white. Like this is pretty much the same shade as the RCMA No Color Powder, which we'll get to in a little bit. But this stays white. So like you put it on, and if you like, I like to press my powders on with a beauty blender. The white just like sticks to your skin and does not go anywhere. So I don't really like this. I got it at TJ Maxx for about $10. It's just kind of blah for me. So not a favorite. Let's move on to another newer one in my collection. This is the Milk Makeup Blur and Set Matte Loose Setting Powder. I have the shade Translucent Light. I got this at TJ Maxx, actually, along with the 2 foundations that I talked about in my last video. This is interesting. It has like a net, but I don't actually mind this net as much as the Huda Beauty net, which I'll get to in a little bit. But I've only used this about twice, I think, so I don't really have an opinion. Definitely mattifies your skin, but I've got to use it a couple more times before I get an opinion on it. So next up, we have the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder. As you can see, I have the shade 05. I've gotten pretty good use out of this. I would say it's more than halfway done, in my opinion, which is pretty cool for me. But I really like this. It's probably one of the powders that I've had the longest. And yeah, I really enjoy it. Definitely mattifies, but nothing too drying or anything like that, and I really like it. So next up, we have the other mesh one in my collection, and this is the Huda Beauty Easy Bake Loose Setting Powder, Loose Baking and Setting Powder in the shade Sugar Cookie. When I first of all, this has an intense fragrance, like intense. If you are averse to fragrances, do skip this, please, because you will not be happy. Let me see if I can open it. So this one does have a mesh, but it wasn't working for me. Like, I couldn't get any product out of the mesh. Nor can I open the product. Okay, whatever. I cut the mesh out because I didn't like it. That is an option if you don't like the mesh, but now, like, if I didn't have that little stopper, like, there would be powder everywhere, so I'm definitely not going to travel with this. Plus, the smell is a little bit overwhelming, but it sets your makeup. It's a little mattifying. I really think, people with dry skin would not like this. I would say the people who would enjoy this the most are oily skin people. So, it's meh. So next up, this is definitely the powder that I've had the longest, and this is the Too Faced Born This Way Ethereal Setting Powder. I have the shade Translucent. This one does have kind of like the Milk Makeup one, except this one doesn't have a mesh. It's just a little heart-shaped, whatchamacallit, thingy where you push the powder out of. And then you just kind of flip it over and tap it into the lid, which is what I do with my powders. I really like this. It sets your makeup, but it doesn't make it too matte. Like I said, it is probably the oldest in my collection, and I've kept it around, so, that's usually a good sign. And yeah, I really enjoy it. Definitely a fave. So next up, we have a classic. This is the Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder. Again, I have the shade Translucent. She now has a new shade called Translucent Honey for medium skin tones. And then she's always had Translucent Deep, I believe, which is for, well, deep skin tones. This doesn't have any kind of catcher or anything, so it goes straight into the little holes. It doesn't have like anything on top. This is definitely a classic for a good reason. It's a really good powder. The only thing I will say is that it can be a little bit drying. So if you're using a matte foundation and then this, that might not be the best combo. I would use this with a dewy foundation to set that, or just use a very, very light, like, dusting of powder. So next up, we have the Fenty Beauty. This is the Pro Filter Instant Retouch Setting Powder. I have the shade Butter. I really like this. She has a ton of shades, which is pretty awesome. Most of her line is very inclusive. So this has like this little stopper. You can see it says FB on it, for Fenty Beauty. And it does have a scent, but it's not nearly as bad as the Huda Beauty one. Just kind of like I don't know. It's the scent like all Fenty products have, kind of like a vanilla-y kind of scent. But this is really good. Not as mattifying as the Laura Mercier, but gets the job done and looks really nice. So next up, we have more of an indie brand, and this is Nakia Joy Cosmetics. And this is their Velvet Finishing Powder. This is kind of amazing. No net or anything like that. But it's beautiful. It really smooths out the skin and just makes you look like you've got your stuff together, really. So I really enjoy it. I like the way it looks on my skin. I like the way it makes my skin feel. It's not too heavy or anything like that. And I highly recommend, even though you have to pay shipping from Australia. It's pretty good. So next is the Cover FX Perfect Setting Powder. And I have the shade Translucent Light. This is beautiful. If you can tell, do you see that I have like half left? Like, that's not very common for me. Even with my Too Faced one, I don't have half left. I have way more. I used this today, so it's a little messy, but it's got, you know, the little thing just like the Too Faced one. I love this. I think people with oily skin could use it. I think people with dry skin could use it. I think if you use a matte foundation, you can use it. You know, it's all around a great powder, and I really like it. So next up, we have the Haley's Beauty Retouch Perfecting Powder, Loose Setting Powder. This doesn't have any stopper or anything. This is fairly new in my collection, but I quite like it. I've only used it a couple times. Definitely, you know, does the job. I don't really have too much to say about it just because I haven't used it too often, but I like it so far. So next, we have the Pretty Vulgar, the Powder Room Matte About It Translucent Setting Powder. This again doesn't have any sifter or anything, so you can see there's a lot of powder sitting in the thing, but it is a pretty big difference between where the sifter is and where the end of the cap is. So you have that room for the powder to sit in. I really like this. Oily skin will love this just because of the amount of like mattifyingness it has. It's a really good powder, but even with my dry normal skin, it looks really good on me as long as I, you know, use a setting spray. But otherwise, I really enjoy it, and Casey Holmes talks about it a lot. So next up, we have a little bit different. We have the e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder, and I have the shade Light, and this is has like a little one of those twisty things, so you like twist it and then you like push the product out and then you twist it closed or whatever. This is beautiful on the skin. Definitely a dupe for the next thing I'm going to talk about. I like the other one better, but this is beautiful, and I love the way it looks on my skin. I love the way it makes my skin feel. It's, you know, it's powdery, but it's not like Laura Mercier powdery, so I really enjoy it. And then the one it's kind of like is the Hourglass Veil Translucent Setting Powder. This is beautiful. The way it makes your skin look is beautiful. The only thing I hate about it is this stupid packaging. Like, you can get stuff out of here. Like, that's not really the issue. The issue is the lid. Like, where am I supposed to put the powder? So when I use this, I have to take another powder and I'll take like the Haley's Beauty, and I'll take the lid of the Haley's Beauty, put the Hourglass in it, use it, and then put the lid back on both of them. So it's like, it's pretty unnecessary, but I love the way that this makes my skin look. It gives me that, like a beautiful, like radiant finish, but it sets everything down and the stuff doesn't go anywhere. So like you're set and you're good, but you've got like the glowy skin vibes. So I really like this, although it's pretty expensive. So next up, I have the RCMA, the original no color powder. Kind of like what I mentioned with the ABH, this is white. I don't know about no color powder, but and you can see I haven't used too much of it, but there's a ton in here. There's 3 ounces in here. Let's see. Let's take the Laura Mercier, for example. There's 1 ounce in here. So there's triple the amount of product in the RCMA than the Laura Mercier. This is good. If you have medium to deep skin tones, I don't know if you can use this because it really does have that like a color powder like finish to it. Oops, sorry. But it looks good. I mean, it does the job. I'm not mad about it, but I wouldn't repurchase it if that was the question. But I try it every now and then. Again, the lid is just stupid. So I usually take another powder and dump the RCMA into that lid and then use that because you can't really use the lid of this. So yeah, it's okay. Not a fave. Next up is the Revolution Pro Skin Finish in Opalescent. This is a Make Me Up Missa recommendation. it's like a baked, you can see with the formula, the way it is like a domed shape. It's got kind of like a swirl of colors in it. This just has a beautiful finish. Like, can you see how like shiny it is? It really gives you kind of the same look as the e.l.f. Halo Glow, but because it's pressed, I actually kind of like it better than that because it's easier to work with and you can like use less or use more. But I like it. So next, this is pretty much a highlighter. This is the Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder Glow. Same packaging as the Laura Mercier, but the lid is like glowy versus, so this is the lid of this one and then the lid of this one, so you can see one's more glowy and one's more matte. This one's like reflective. Hello, hi. This one's not as reflective. It's okay. It's too lighty to be like the Revolution skin finish or the e.l.f. Halo Glow, but then it's like not sparkly enough to be a highlighter. So like if you like really subtle highlighters, you'll enjoy this, but it's not worth $39. So last but not least, we have two pressed powders. Have the CoverGirl Advanced Radiance pressed powder in the shade 110 Creamy Natural. I like this. I use it sometimes to set my under eyes or something like that. It's not anything special, honestly. It's got these bumps in it, and I don't know what that means or why they're there, but I think it's just like the way the powder's like pressed or something, because I mean they fall apart once you like kind of scrape them out. So I'm not really sure what that's about, but it's a good powder, does the job. Not a favorite. Or this is the last one. Hello. We have the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Skin Perfecting Micro Powder in the shade 1 Fair. This is, if you don't know what it looks like, this is what it looks like. Mine's already got a bit of a dent. It's okay. Honestly, I haven't used it that much. If you couldn't tell by my collection, I like loose powders more. So this is okay. It's very soft, like it's very, very soft. But I feel like it kind of gives me that same vibe as the Nakia Joy Velvet Finishing Powder. So this is 45 and this is like 20 something, I think. So, you know, I would go this route. But if you like pressed powders and you use pressed powders, probably the best place to put this is under your eyes and like down your T-zone, so where you have pores, so that it can like airbrush it out. But honestly, it's not a favorite. I got it from a friend, new, but I didn't pay $45. I think I paid $35 for it. And I don't think I would repurchase it, but it's okay. And I thought I would give you guys a little cameo. Coco. Coco. Hi, boys. Hi. All right. So that is all of my concealers and powders. Let me know what you think down below. Don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell, like, comment, do all the things. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.